For centuries, sailors returned from the deep ocean with stories that sounded like fiction. They spoke of fish that carried their own lanterns, of creatures that glowed in the eternal dark. Scientists dismissed these tales as myth. They assumed the deep sea was empty, lifeless, a cold desert where nothing could survive. They were wrong. The anglerfish existed down there, hidden in pressures that could crush submarines, and nothing about it was normal. It was a creature so bizarre, so impossibly engineered, that when researchers first studied intact specimens, they questioned whether evolution could produce something so alien. The anglerfish wasn't just strange, it was a masterpiece of biological extremes, a fish that rewrote the rules of survival itself. For most of human history, the deep ocean remained more mysterious than the surface of the moon. Sunlight died at 600 feet. Below that threshold, darkness became absolute. Scientists in the 19th century believed nothing lived in those depths. The pressure was too great. The cold was too severe. Food was too scarce. Then in 1873, the HMS Challenger expedition dragged nets through the abyss and pulled up creatures that defied explanation. Among them were fish with grotesque teeth, translucent bodies, and structures that resembled fishing rods growing from their heads. These were the first anglerfish specimens, and they looked like they belonged to another planet. The creatures arrived dead, crushed by the pressure change, their true nature still concealed. It took another 100 years before humans developed technology that could descend into the anglerfish's world and observe it alive. What they discovered down there challenged everything they thought they understood about vertebrate life. The anglerfish family tree split from other bony fish approximately 100 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period when dinosaurs still walked the earth. Back then, the ancestors of anglerfish lived in shallower waters. They were unremarkable predators with standard fish anatomy. But as competition intensified in those crowded environments, some populations began migrating downward into the deep sea, and evolution started conducting radical experiments. The deep ocean presented problems that required extreme solutions. The first challenge was darkness. Without light, eyes became useless. Vision evolved backward, shrinking in some species until it nearly disappeared. The second challenge was food. In the abyss, meals were rare events, sometimes separated by months. Bodies transformed to accommodate this scarcity. Metabolisms slowed to a crawl. Stomachs expanded until they could hold prey larger than the anglerfish itself. The third challenge was finding a mate in 3 billion cubic miles of empty water. This problem produced the most shocking solution of all, but that came later. Evolution split the anglerfish into more than 200 species, each adapting to different depths and niches. Some remained relatively small, just a few inches long, others grew to more than 3 feet. The deep-sea anglerfish, particularly those in the suborder Seracidae, became the most extreme. They descended to depths beyond 3,000 feet, into a realm where pressure exceeded 3,000 pounds per square inch. At those depths, evolution stripped away everything unnecessary and amplified everything essential. What emerged was barely recognizable as a fish at all. The anglerfish possessed 3 biological traits that seemed physically impossible, yet they functioned with perfect precision. The first was the lure itself, the structure that gave the creature its name. This wasn't a simple appendage, it was a modified dorsal spine called an esca, and it glowed with cold bioluminescent light produced by symbiotic bacteria that lived inside it. The anglerfish cultivated these bacteria in a specialized bulb filled with blood vessels and mucus. The bacteria belonged to the genus Photobacterium, and they produced light through a chemical reaction that generated zero heat. The anglerfish controlled this light, switching it on and off, pulsing it in patterns that mimic the movement of prey. Other fish and invertebrates, drawn to what they thought was food, swam directly toward the anglerfish's mouth. It was a trap that exploited the most basic instinct in the ocean: hunger. The lure dangled centimeters from jaws that could unhinge and open to 120 degrees, wide enough to swallow prey half the anglerfish's body length. Teeth angled inward like prison bars, preventing escape once the trap closed. The second superpower was pressure resistance. At 3,000 feet, water pressure was 90 times greater than at the surface. Most fish possessed swim bladders, gas-filled organs that helped them maintain buoyancy, but those bladders would collapse or explode under deep-sea pressure. The anglerfish eliminated the swim bladder entirely. Instead, its body composition changed. Its bones became thin and flexible, almost cartilaginous. Its muscles filled with water and lipids, substances that were incompressible. The anglerfish's flesh had the consistency of jelly, which allowed it to exist in equilibrium with the crushing weight of the ocean above it. When researchers brought specimens to the surface, the pressure change destroyed them, their bodies expanded and ruptured. For decades, scientists only studied corpses, never understanding how the fish truly looked or behaved in its native environment. The third superpower was metabolic efficiency. Food in the deep sea was so scarce that some anglerfish went months between meals. Evolution responded by slowing their metabolism to near hibernation levels. Their hearts beat just a few times per minute. Their movement became minimal, reduced to subtle shifts and brief lunges. When prey did appear, the anglerfish became explosive. Its jaw snapped forward in 20 milliseconds, creating a vacuum that sucked prey into its mouth. After feeding, the anglerfish could survive for half a year without eating again, digesting slowly while drifting motionless in the dark. It was existence at the edge of starvation, yet the species thrived. But the anglerfish's strangest feature wasn't anatomical, it was reproductive. The behavior seemed so bizarre that when scientists first documented it, they assumed they were looking at a parasitic infection. They were wrong, it was the creature's mating strategy, and it was more extreme than anything else in the vertebrate world. Male anglerfish were tiny, sometimes 60 times smaller than females. They possessed no lure, no bioluminescence, no elaborate hunting tools. They existed for a single purpose, to find a female. In the vastness of the deep ocean, where light didn't exist and individuals were separated by miles of empty water, finding a mate was nearly impossible. Evolution's solution was horrifying and elegant in equal measure. The male anglerfish possessed enlarged eyes and sensitive nostrils that detected pheromones across vast distances. Once he located a female, he bit into her body. His mouth fused with her skin, his blood vessels connected with hers. Over weeks, his body dissolved. His eyes disappeared, his organs shut down. His heart stopped beating. He became a permanent appendage on the female's body, reduced to nothing but a pair of gonads that released sperm when she was ready to spawn. The female carried multiple males this way, sometimes 6 or 7 fused to her sides and belly, all of them technically alive but no longer independent organisms. They had surrendered their autonomy for guaranteed reproductive success. This was sexual parasitism, a strategy so extreme it appeared in no other vertebrate species. It solved the problem of finding mates in an environment where encounters were vanishingly rare. But it also raised questions that researchers still struggled to answer. How did the female's immune system accept foreign tissue without rejection? The male's body should have been attacked and destroyed, yet the fusion was seamless. Scientists discovered that anglerfish possessed highly modified immune genes, particularly in the major histocompatibility complex, the system that normally recognized and attacked foreign cells. These genes were suppressed or altered, allowing the fusion to occur without triggering rejection. It was a biological feat that medical researchers studied intensely, hoping to understand how to prevent organ transplant rejection in humans. The anglerfish lived in a world humans could barely visit, let alone survive in. It existed at pressures that crushed machinery, in darkness more complete than any night on the surface, feeding on scraps that drifted down from the sunlit world above. Yet it thrived, it evolved solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable. It transformed its body into a weapon, a trap, a beacon in the void. It sacrificed complexity for efficiency, beauty for function, individuality for reproduction. In doing so, it became one of the most successful predators in the largest ecosystem on Earth. Humans had explored less than 5% of the ocean. The remaining 95% held creatures still unknown, adaptations still undiscovered, behaviors still unobserved. The anglerfish was a reminder that Earth still kept secrets, that evolution still produced wonders that defied imagination. These fish had existed for 100 million years. They survived mass extinctions that erased dinosaurs and reshaped continents. They would likely continue existing long after humans were gone, glowing silently in the dark, hunting in a realm where no light would ever reach. The abyss was not empty, it was full of life that had been perfected by time and pressure and darkness. The anglerfish proved that nothing about it was normal. Everything about it was exactly as it needed to be. Thank you for watching another episode of Titans of the Abyss. Your support allowed these stories to be told, these mysteries to be shared. The ocean still had much to teach, and there were many more tales waiting in the deep.